So I'm going to try to see, because there's a couple videos that I put in here, which I don't think that the video that I was going to show you isn't until the second part of the lesson, but I'm hoping I got this figured out so you can hear the audio. But if not, I will post the link in under this chapter.
Okay.
So, all right. So yes, we're going to go over chapter 39 for cardiology. Some of this stuff we went through in phlebotomy, so it'll have some similar information and everything, but just kind of a brief overview of that information from phlebotomy. So yeah, so the main purpose of the cardiovascular system is to bring oxygen, nutrients, water, and other substances to body cells, and then to also carry waste products away from cells to be excreted. It also includes blood vessels, arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules, and veins. So we'll go into further like what the difference between arteries and arterioles and the venules and veins are. I think that's one of the most confusing parts. Sorry, I need to make sure I look at my notes too. So, but yeah, like the main thing is like blood is just carrying nutrients and oxygen through to our other organs, so that way it can function properly. So,
Sorry.
bless you.
Thank you.
But yeah, so in here, well, I have on the other slide of what I want to say terminology, anatomy, sorry, what the anatomy is for like the arteries and then the blood vessels, capillaries, all that kind of stuff. So, but the blood vessels are the pipeline for blood to move out of the body and back to the heart. So that's what the vessels do. The blood vessels are basically getting the blood to go back up into the heart to get oxygen again and then kind of restart the process. So, well, that's not as big as I thought it was. Let me turn off presenter view for a second to make that a little bit bigger. So over on this side is the anatomy for the systemic arteries. So every artery that you can find in the body,
That's a lot.
you're not, it is a lot. Yeah, you're not going to have to memorize all of this. Because basically it's, we know where to find arteries if we had to check for someone's pulse. But yeah, this is where you have, because we have arteries that go to other organs and everything too. So you do have quite a few of them. And then your veins. So this is the anatomy of all the veins that you have in your body as well. So let me go back here. All right. And then we're just going to do an overview of what the heart. So the heart, you have the chambers, which is the atria and ventricles. The atria are the upper chambers, and then the ventricles are the lower chambers. The septum is a thick muscular wall that divides the sections into right and left sections, because basically what happens is you have one side where the blood is coming back from so once the blood has been circulated through your body and has delivered the oxygen and the nutrients, that blood is coming back into your heart and then going to go into the lungs and then go into the other chamber to be pumped back out to the body. So,
right. So
you have
oxygenated and the others not.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And then your heart has the heart wall, has three layers, which is the endocardium, the myocardium, and the epicardium. So, but the heart is about the size of a fist, and it is a muscle. But yeah, that's pretty much, there is a lot of disorders that you can have with the heart, which we're going to go into in the second part of our lesson, but anyways, so the heart also has valves that allow blood to flow in one direction. You have two sets of valves. So you have the atrioventricular, or the AV valve, which when closed, prevents backflow from blood to go back into the atrium. So basically, again, the two upper parts are the atrium. So this side, I'll go to that slide in a minute. Sorry. So I'll get there. But yeah, so the heartbeat, you'll have this lub-dub sound, which is we'll go over like the contractions and everything. But the AV valve are the bicuspid or mitral, and tricuspid, and the SL or the semilunar valves are found between ventricles and arteries that lead out of the heart. So, okay, let me make this image a little bit bigger. Okay, so on this side here, the right side, you have blood that has gone through your body and depleted all of its oxygen and nutrients that's coming back in to be reoxygenated. So you have the inferior vena cava and the superior vena cava, the aorta, and then the pulmonary artery. So these are the main arteries that lead to the heart. So once blood comes back into the heart here, this is where it starts off at, is the right atrium. This is the valve or the AV node that they're referring to. So basically, I have a slide. I figured out what was kind of cool is I can actually insert GIFs, if that's what they're called. So you can actually like see how it works and everything. But so yeah, it'll create this, so your blood comes back in, and then this part will open up so that the blood can go into the ventricles, that then will go into the pulmonary artery, and then into the left atrium, is where it comes back from, and then to the left ventricle to then pump through the aorta into the body. So this is just another view of it here too, to show you the different arteries. This is a better way to like look at the arteries than that last image. But yeah, so blood comes in to the right atrium, and then it comes through these valves and goes through this valve into the pulmonary artery, and then back into the left atrium, left ventricle, and then pumped out through the aorta. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I thought that was kind of cool that I can insert GIFs in here. So that way it was kind of a better view to see, like you have this valve that closes, so that way when the ventricles pump, you're not going to have the blood backflow into the atrium. So that's the purpose of them closing off. Okay, so pulmonary and systemic circulation. So pulmonary circulation is the deoxygenated blood is pumped from the right side of the heart into the lungs. So gas can exchange, oxygen can, or the blood can be reoxygenated, and then it goes back into the heart, where then the oxygenated blood is pumped from the left side of the heart to move through the body. So the blood comes into the right side and gets pumped out of the left side once, it's got all of its oxygen and nutrients back, to then be circulated through the body to start the process all over again. So this is a image of how basically the pulmonary or how the exchange kind of happens and everything. So I'm going to again post this on your guys' page to look at this further, but that was just a quick image for you. All right, so coronary circulation. So the right and left coronary arteries are the first branches of the ascending aorta, and coronary arteries bring nutrients and oxygen to the heart tissue. Coronary arteries, of course, have a important role in maintaining the myocardium. So you want to make sure to look at the figure 39.3 in your textbook. That'll give you a little bit of a better idea there. So, okay, hepatic portal circulation. So veins from the spleen, gallbladder, stomach, intestines, they will dump blood into the hepatic portal vein, which then takes the blood to the liver. Then the liver then plays a role in filtering blood and metabolizes or breaks down substances. So the liver is where you have a breakdown of glucose or any toxic substances like alcohol or certain medications are processed through the liver. So basically the blood the blood that has those substances goes to the liver and then filters them out. So, and then in most cases, veins leaving an abdominal organ empty blood into the inferior vena cava as it heads to the heart. So, and then fetal circulation. So before birth, the baby's lungs, GI tract, kidneys, they are not functioning until after birth. So toward the end of pregnancy, babies will start to begin kind of practicing breathing, but there's not actually an exchange of gas occurring. So they're still going to be getting the oxygen and nutrients from its mother. So the blood supply is coming from the mom. During early weeks of pregnancy, the placenta begins to grow and attaches to the mother's uterus to grow the baby via the umbilical cord. And the umbilical cord also helps with getting the blood. So, but the umbilical cord has two arteries, one umbilical vein. So the arteries carry the fetal blood to the placenta, and then the umbilical vein carries oxygen and nutrient-rich blood to the baby. And so your blood is made up of two components. So you have the liquid portion, which is the plasma, which I'll show you a little photo here, but the plasma is the part that is kind of that yellowish substance when we spin down the blood. And then you have the red blood cells, the white blood cells, and the platelets. But 55% of your blood is actually the plasma. And the average, so a 150-pound person will have about 5 liters of blood circulating through their body at a time. So, and then a milliliter of blood has approximately 4.2 million to 6 million red blood cells. And then 450, or I'm sorry, 4,500 to 11,000 white blood cells, and then 150,000 to 450,000 platelets, which is quite a lot in a small amount of blood. So they're really tiny. All right, so plasma is 90% water and then made up of albumin, globulins, clotting factors, organic substances, and waste products. So the pH range should be about 7.35 to 7.45 for it to be stable. Most chemical reactions in the body are pH dependent, and the plasma is the liquid portion of the whole blood. So when you're drawing blood, if without the plasma, it would basically be more like jelly than it would be a liquid. So, but the plasma is the part that also helps with clotting. So, in the chapter about the phlebotomy, did we go over thrombocytes, erythrocytes, all of that? Neutrophils? I think we went over most of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we're just going to go through these next here. Okay, so let's go through blood types. Are you familiar with blood types?
Yeah, we went over it last week.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, just a refresher. So the different types of blood, and there is a really good video on here. Let me stop so I can go to this. Whoopsies. Oh, I thought I could click on it. Because this video really explains the blood types really well, what they mean, and like the RH system, the positive and negative, like how they figure all that stuff out. So I will post a link to that video in your guys' course because I thought I could click on it, but I guess I did not do that right. So, but that video was really helpful to understand the different types of blood and how they figure out if it's positive or negative. So, okay. And let's go over. Okay, no, actually, that's where. So, the rest of this we're going to go through on Thursday. But is it making sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the main thing is, again, the different layers of the heart, the valves, and how the oxygen comes into the heart, into the lungs, and then back into the heart to then be pumped through the body. So, but what we'll do too on Thursday, and I'm going to just post this PowerPoint for you guys to review, so that way we can, go through the different things that can go wrong and the different tests and everything, and then we'll play a Jeopardy game.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you for joining.
No problem. Thank you. And I also had one more question.
Sure.
I was just looking at Canvas, and I don't think this week's work is posted.
Oh, okay. I need to publish that. So let me go in there and do that. So that way, I forgot to make that published. So you guys can actually see that. So I will do that right now.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. So it'll show up there in just a few minutes, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Caleb.
Yeah, no problem.
Have a good day.
You too.